Yes, here we are. It is finally the unboxing and specs of the Hozo Neoblade. Okay, let's try this again. Take two. you gotta love, you gotta love you gotta love the life. Unboxing the specs of the Hozo Neoblade Ultrasonic Cutter. Yes, when you unmute the microphone, it works so much better. So yeah, we got that going on. Hey, we got Swedish Forge here. He's going to be rocking in with us today, and today is the day. Yeah, this has been a while. I've been putting it off. I've had squirrel moments where I've been going off into other things, but today, besides rocking a French vanilla, we're going to be looking at the Hozo. Specifically the Neoblade. We got George here, which says howdy and good morning. We're going to start off on this. The Hozo Neoblade. Now, there is a little bit of a disclaimer, and the disclaimer is that Hozo provided this product to me, but they don't have any say in what I say about the product. In other words, this wasn't, hey, we'll give you the product if you give us a good review. That's not how that works. Matter of fact, in my discussions with Hozo, I said, hey, I do honest reviews, and there's the pros and the cons, and if it lives up to its advertising, I let people know, and if it doesn't, I let people know. And a lot of companies that have contacted me in the past that wanted me to promote their products, as soon as I tell them that, that's kind of, yeah, they don't want to do business with me. So it's kind of like, okay, but Hozo did. They're like, hey, feel free. We don't need to look at your video before you post it. You do your review. And I was like, okay, well, let's do that. So anyway, it is I guess you could say a paid product because they gave me the product for free, but they don't have any say in about my evaluation of the product and so on and so forth. So we're going to go over this and take a look at it and figure out whether this thing actually works as advertised, because that's the whole thing that we're going to be going for here. And then we'll look at all the benefits and the features to see if this is something that would be a good tool in the toolbox. It also comes down to kind of your budget. Because this is an interesting thing, and if it costs a pretty penny. So is it worth it? I don't know. I can't answer that question, but it depends on you. So really it comes down to you, your budget, your activities on whether this would be a good tool for you. So we're going to start over and get onto this about the claims of the Neoblade. And we're just going to run through some things, and then we'll go do the unboxing because yes, there it is sitting on the table. Waiting to be unboxed. But first we're going to go over some of the claims of what this Neoblade ultrasonic cutter does. And the first thing we're going to look at, it claims to be the world's smallest wireless ultrasonic cutter. Yeah, butter smooth, 40,000 kilohertz vibrations per second. That seems impressive to me. Clean cuts for 3D printing models and all types of materials. There's like 100 some odd materials that this thing will cut. And with a true wireless design, in other words, it's got a battery in it. So we have that. It talks about, it also comes with a cutting mat that absorbs vibrations. So apparently this is a special mat. We've got that. They sent me one of those as well. It's kind of cool because it's got metric and it's got freedom units on there, and it's supposed to have a 17-time longer lifespan than regular mats. I don't know how we would test that, so I'm just going to take them for their word for it. Now, the question is, what is the Neoblade? Who is it for? We talk about 3D printing, hobbyists, woodworkers, Gundam model builders, which is kind of model builders, RC model aircraft builders, car modification enthusiasts, artists, sculptors, anything where you need to, maybe you're into scrapbooking or whatever, any type of model or where you need to cut something. Maybe not Christmas dinner or the Thanksgiving turkey, but anything else that pretty much needs to be cut, you can supposedly cut it with the Neoblade. Some of the other details, this is kind of interesting because it has a dual purpose cap. In other words, the cap has a little thing to where you can use that as a tool to help replace the blades in the Neoblade, and it's ergonomically balanced. In other words, it's not too front end heavy or back end heavy. It seems to fit in your hand real well. The good thing is it has an automatic shut-off after 5 minutes. I have been known to leave things on and drain batteries, and so I think that's kind of a good feature. And it also does support wired charging, so through a USB-C connector. So the good thing is you can pretty sure use it wired up and use it, or you can use it with of course it has a rechargeable battery so that you can be wireless in using it. Seems like pretty good. And it also has a light on the end of the tip, kind of like you see in the center of the picture there, that you can actually see what you're cutting, kind of like reminiscent of a hand drill with the light, which is, that's kind of a good thing. One of the other questions that people are wondering is what type of blades does this use? Well, there's 6 type of blades. Yeah, it has a standard blade, long blade, chisel blade, mini chisel blade, has a curved blade, and then it has a double edge blade. So not only can you do cutting with this in a variety of different angles, you can chisel, you could do a little bit of woodwork where you need to get engravings. This would also be a great tool if you're doing cosplay and working with EVA foam of various thicknesses. This seems like a no-brainer for that. So there's a lot of different blades. One of the things that's interesting is how much are the blades. We'll take a look at the website after we do the unboxing and we'll see how these fare. And I don't know, wonder if we could use some aftermarket blades in this? That's a good question. And I think if I look through my drawer, I got some blades, and so we'll see if these will fit. I don't know. Well, is it, a specific size that they only offer the blades for this? That's a good question. So I haven't scripted this at all, so we'll find out. Other thing, in regards to safety, the little blades that they have are razor sharp because they're razor blades. And when you start vibrating at 40,000 kilohertz per second, it can be pretty sharp. And so they basically have a blade, as you see, a little place where you can get the blades out of. And then when you're done using the blade, you can put it inside that container as well. So it's kind of like a sharps container, which is pretty nice. The end of the unit detaches and it has a little tool that you can unscrew and take the blade out and put a new one in and screw it back, and the end cap goes back on, which is kind of an all-in-one type of thing. The last thing that I need is another Allen wrench or a little tiny screwdriver that is littered all over the place. I like the fact that this has it all encompassed and you don't need to search through drawers to find the key or the screwdriver or the Allen to replace blades. I really like that it's all in one place. The other question is, what does this give you? Cutting edge freedom. That's everybody loves freedom, so it's cutting edge. Those things go together like peas and carrots. Again, it operates at 40,000 kilohertz, which it vibrates, which helps in the cutting, supposedly. I don't know, we'll find out. And we'll test different types of cutting with like side cutters, with scissors, with a razor blade. We'll see how we can cut some different items and see if that 40,000 kilohertz really actually helps. I don't know. We're doing this live. I thought about recording this and doing it, but and editing it, but I thought, you know what, let's just continue doing it live. Pretty high power. It also has a power adjustment, so it automatically adjusts to the material that you're cutting. That seems like a good thing. And 100 plus materials that you can cut with this. Resin, paperboard, wood, carbon fiber, rubber, plastic, foam, acrylic, silicone, PVC, plywood, cardboard, and a myriad of other things. So that's going to be kind of interesting. We're not going to go through all 100 because that would be way too long of a video. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take a look at some of those things. But there's two different ways in which you can cut with this. There is a non-stop cutting. In other words, there's an on-off switch. So you can click it on and it will constantly vibrate so that you can just go to town and cut as long as you want, as long as the batteries last. Or you can do a long press. So in other words, you could press the button and activate it, and then you can make your cut. And then when you release your finger, it turns off. So again, a little bit of a battery saving feature. And again, with the auto shut off after 5 minutes of non-use, that seems pretty cool. So with that, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to talk about this. Some of the things I guess we need to talk about is this something for you? Do all of these claims, it sounds good, but what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the bench right now and we'll actually take a look and see how this thing works out. So I'm going to take a swig of my French vanilla latte with a dark bean roast, and you can smash that like button to get us prepared to go do this. So let's go ahead and we'll check this out. The Neoblade. Okay, we have the Neoblade, and let me get my tablet set up here so that way we'll be able to read any comments. And I would appreciate if you kept the comments about this product, or actually I could just go through and save the comments for later. Okay, so this is the Neoblade. This is the box that it came in. And so what we'll do is the quick unboxing. Dun, dun, dun. We have the Neoblade itself, and that's kind of a hefty little item. So I was kind of surprised when I opened this up. I was like, wow, that's got some weight to it. I was expecting something, excuse me, especially in this day and age, of something that was, you know, a little cheesy, plasticky, but this seems to be good. We also have a charging station that will charge the spare battery and, of course, the unit itself, and has a Type-C to C cable. The interesting thing about this is a 12-volt, 2.5 amp, 30-watt charger, and you need to have a PD. What does it say? Dun, 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 dun. A PD charger, which is something that's going to be kind of interesting. And then we've got our number of blades. We've got a standard blade. We've got the long blade. We've got the chisel blade. And then we have a mini chisel blade. And then we've got a heat-treated alloy steel curved blade. I guess we're kind of doing some ninja action there. And then the last one, we have a double-edged blade. So, yeah, we have got all kinds of blades going on here. So here it is. Dun, dun, dun. So let's unbox this and we'll take a look at it. And 6-in-1 blade collection. Now they've got different versions of this. They've got the Neoblade by itself, kind of like a basic version, and then they have a creator combo. This is the creator combo, and there's what you end up seeing. So those are some small blades. So the ends, I mean, but you can get a good look at that. Wow. So that is interesting. I'll just put that over there. And then we have the USB-C to USB-C charging cable. If I can get it out of the box. There we go. Just kind of a Barney basic cable. Wonder how long this is. Okay, that's a fair amount. That's a decent sized cable. I appreciate that. USB-C to USB-C, so that's good. And then we have the unit itself. which is nice. And of course we have some directions. Got some stuff on the box and on the paperwork, which is, oh, it's nice. So it shows you that it has the screwdriver protective cover, has the Neoblade blade holder, blade screw, so it's a little screw-in thing there. You've got your power switch, which is up on the top, charging port, air vent, LED indicators, Type-C charging port, and dun, dun, dun. Unsuitable materials. It says metals, glass, gems, ceramics, stones, silicone, biological tissue. Well, I mean, that's debatable. Liquids, inflammable, and explosive materials. Yeah, that probably shouldn't do explosive with this thing. The big safety thing is do not touch the blade. Okay. Yeah. Now this is the interesting thing here. It says use a 30 watt PD charger, 12 volt output with 2.5 amps. 5 volt 2 amp chargers are not supported. So the interesting thing that I see right here is that while we get, oh, I wonder if it's in here. So there's this. Okay, so we do have a charger on this. Okay, so you can go ahead and you can put this in and charge your unit, which is good. Ooh, and we got another cable, and then we have a spare battery. So we got that going on. So as we take a look at this, let's see what we've got. So we've got a rechargeable battery that we're able to put in here, and it's got a nub on here and a nub on here, so it lines up with these two holes, or I guess cutouts there. And then it goes on, and then if you want to turn it on, you rotate it, and then the light goes on, and that's also where you have your USB-C. Supposedly 40 watts of power that you got going on. It has a fan on here, because apparently when you're going at 40,000, and there is the device itself. So again, a small blade, as we can see. And again, that was, oh yeah, that's what we were going to take a look at, to see if we could use an aftermarket blade, but I'm guessing that would be no. Like here is a blade from an aftermarket. Oops. And if we compare this, we can see that the blade is a little bit too big on this aftermarket. So I don't know. I don't think that would be, I don't think that would fit. So would have been nice if they did. So what that means is that you're going to have to purchase from Hozo additional blades if you're going to use this for the long term. So, oh, and they also had this end on here. Oh, with that little tool that we got. And that seems like it's, so that goes right there. And so it's kind of like a hex. Yeah, okay. Good, good. And I don't know if that's plastic. It feels like it's a... Is that a metal? It seems like that's metal. Okay, that's good. So being metal is good. Because you definitely wouldn't want it. Oh, and it has a little magnetic symbol on there. Oh, so it's magnet. Nice. So you don't have to twist anything off. You can just, oh, I like that. Okay. So the other thing we end up having here is taking a look, and we've got our power switch, so we can just press. And the fan is going. And then if we want it constant, you can hear that. And that's on, and if we turn this, it'll go off. So you've got your, I guess the activation of the Neoblade is here, so you can press it and start it. But then your power, you have to turn that to get that on, and then as soon as you press this, I guess the fans start running. So, interesting. Here's what I want to do. I want to take a look at some items, and we're going to take a look at like how things cut. So we've got some cardboard here, and if we have some scissors, we can end up, and you can see how scissors work. You know, what are the odds? You know, you do some scissors. Yeah, scissors are scissors. That's not really hard to imagine. We could also have a razor blade where you come through, which works out pretty good. And then we could also have some side cutters, which basically smash and cut. So if you can kind of see that, how you got decent stuff on these, but you're going to have to apply some pressure. So now let's check out how this works, and we will turn this on and get our blue light, and we're ready to go. And it is kind of balanced. It's balanced enough. It's really smooth. And it seems this is a metallic finish, so it's kind of like a brushed aluminum, and then this front part is housing, and of course you have the metal here. So we're all ready to go. So it fits pretty good in your hand. So let's see how well this will cut. So we'll go ahead and that's nice. You just have to get it at the right angle. Ooh, that is really smooth. Wow, that is interesting. It is smooth. You just have to get it right on that tip. Let's go ahead and so it's constant. Okay. I don't know. It seems like it cuts. It seems like you have to be at like the right angle for this, and then it just cuts like butter. So there's a little bit of, yeah, you got to be just like that, and it's super smooth. Okay. Okay, so for cardboard, is it better than side cutters? Probably. Is it better than with a razor blade? The problem with the razor blade is when you're going to make these rounded cuts, you're going to get some of these. See how we get that binding up and how it ruins the edges? Whereas with the Neoblade cutter, we can do some more rounded cuts and we don't get the marred edges that we get with a razor blade. So there's that. And of course, if you're going to do any cutting with scissors, you know, you're going to get a little bit of crumpling of the cardboard on that. So yeah, but it just seems like with this, it cuts better, but there's a little bit of a learning curve. Let's see if we can't get this. There we go. It does have the LED lights. Let's go ahead and cut this on the mat. We'll see if. Wow. So freehand, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but wow, on the mat, that makes a huge difference. So we just hold it like this. And we get some, that's a lot better. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, there seems to be a little bit of a different cutting versus a regular razor blade, because you're going to get those deformed edges versus using the Neoblade. You get a much cleaner, but then that's also attributed to the blade being really small. So as you make those rounded cuts, you're not going to have like a thick blade like this. You're not going to get those deformed edges. So, but it does cut easier with the cardboard. So that's kind of cool. Alrighty, the other thing we're going to take a look at is wood, because supposedly this thing cuts wood. So I've got a little bit of 3 mil or whatever this is, and we're going to see if this works. So go ahead. Gonna rotate that on, pull this back, and let's see if we can get a good view of this. I guess maybe we gotta cut it on that. That does heat up. And you can smell the wood. Oh yeah, that cuts. That's good. Wow. And we can see that there's a tiny bit of that vibration actually. Look at that. Just goes right through there. That is nice. So we can do some cutting. Let me see if I can bring this camera in a little bit. Let me get a close-up of this. I can end up just kind of... It's like I don't want to cut the mat. But that's what the mat is for. So that cuts pretty good. You can see that it does cut this material pretty well. Let's see. I think it comes to see if we can cut this. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. If you're going to cut something like this with, like with a razor blade, would this be any easier? It's taking a lot more force. And if you're, yeah, notice how it just split that right there. We're not going to get that splitting when we use the Neoblade. So if you were trying to get, see how it just split the wood right there. But with the Neoblade, let's see if we can't cut a little bit of a, yeah, see how it doesn't split? And we can just cut out the little part that we want, and it's not going to split the wood like it did with the, so yeah, interesting. So if you have some real delicate work, the Neoblade would be worth using, because like I said, with just a regular razor blade, and definitely if you're going to use something like side cutters, this would, you know, you're going to have problems, because what you're going to end up having is, you know, splitting that wood. So the Neoblade would definitely come in handy with that. And of course you use regular scissors. I mean, we got some, you're going to do the same thing, as you're going to get that. But with the Neoblade, we can cut through this and everything is nice. Okay, so that's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. Let's go ahead and we'll go on to the next item. And since we have 3D printing enthusiasts, what we end up having is some PLA. And of course, if you know anything about 3D printing, which I do, sometimes you need to make adjustments to some things. You heard it had the automatic shut off. And then if you're trying to cut with a razor blade, yeah, that is not going to happen. So a regular razor blade, yeah, that's probably not what you're going to do. So let's say if we wanted to cut a hole in this, yeah, a regular razor blade is not going to work. So let's see how this fares. Let's see if we can get a close-up look on this. And let's see if we can do this. I'll kind of get closer in here. Get our lighting. Yes, much better, much better. So now, let's see if we can do like a plunge cut. Oh, nice. Look at that. So yeah, that vibration also brings some heat with that. So if we wanted to cut into this like so, let's say we just want to do that, and we want to do this, and we just want to do that, we could cut that item. And that, you could not do that with a regular razor blade. And of course, if you try doing this with side cutters, you know, what you're going to end up having is that right there, because it crushes what is actually doing is crushing the material, and then we have a crack right there. So yeah, if you're going to be using side cutters and we just wanted to put in a notch, the problem is you're going to ruin your print. But with this, we can go through and let's just go ahead. Oh, that is nice. And then now if we wanted to cut a notch out of this, we can get a real precise cut on here, like so. And again, because it's vibrating at 40,000 kilohertz, you're gonna get some heat, so it kind of melts it a little bit as it's cutting. So we could definitely, I would have to do some practice on this, but we can definitely cut some things that we wouldn't be able to do normally with a regular blade. So yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And that 40,000 kilohertz, it does heat up. It's not on now. I was just trying to pry that piece back. I'm trying to... see if we can get that piece out of there. And you can smell the PVA, the melting PVA. But that's not bad. That is pretty good. There's no way you would be able to do that with side cutters, or, you know, there's no way that you'd be able to cut into this like that with a razor blade. So, and again, let's use a part of the blade that's brand new. Yeah, that... And that's the new part of the blade. That's just not hacking it. So yeah, that definitely works with the Neoblade. So we're able to get cuts. Obviously, I would need to take more time to do that, but definitely a lot better than side cutters. Because again, if we wanted to cut a notch out with side cutters, let's see, let me just try to go slow and not... Yeah, side cutters are not your friend in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that wouldn't work. That would not work at all. Okay, so we can see how on PVA with different parts like that. Razor blades, side cutters definitely wouldn't work. If we have some little bit of fiber board that we have here, or kind of like a poster board, as we can see there. If you're going to cut with like a razor blade, got to put a little bit of strength on that. That works well. Of course, if you're going to use scissors, of course, you got a little bit of deformation on there with these type of scissors. If we did side cutters, again, what you're going to end up with, it's going to smash that together, and that's not what we want. So, let's adjust that. Go back to our Neoblade and see how this cuts with this. I need to do it on the... Interesting. We're not getting a real good... So on this poster board, we're not getting a real good... There we go. There's a certain angle that you need to, but you know what? I'm not. Yeah, there's like a certain angle that you need to be at for this, because that's not really cutting through as well as I thought it would, as we can see there. I wonder if we should use a longer blade. Let's try that one there. Whoa. We can actually test out that this little thing here to see how this works. Now I will say, but this vibrating at 40,000 kilohertz, it does get warm because we did experience the melting on the PVA. So with that, I'm not going to touch the blade. Ooh, interesting. Oh, so it's got like a collet on there. Okay. Okay, I see what we're doing there. So it's just not... And then that seats in the collet. And then this goes in there, and we can, oh, so we could rotate this around to whatever direction we want. Okay, so that's interesting. So we'll just do that. And maybe we need the right tool for the right job. So we'll make sure that that's secure. I'll put this back. And now, let's give this a shot. Let's see if we can cut, maybe this long ninja blade will cut. So we'll rotate that on. Let's see if this works. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what we did. The right tool for the right job. Look at that. That's what we needed. Okay. Nice, nice. Okay, that answers that question. So we can do this. We can do this board here, this poster board material, and versus using the standard blade wasn't what we needed. We needed that long blade to get those cuts, and that's pretty decent. Okay. Alrighty. So we did that. Let's go ahead and move some of this trash out of here. We'll go on to something a little bit tougher. Like for example, we already did the PLA, the little piece that we had here. Now we're going to do like a model. This is just a test piece. And with our ninja blade, our samurai blade, let's take a look and see how this works. So we'll just go ahead and see how we can do that. yeah, we got a pretty good little amount of material there. If we were going to do something like we wanted to cut out a notch on this side here with some side cutters, we can pretty much guarantee that this is not going to go well, but we'll just go ahead and we'll do it anyway. Let's say I wanted to cut a notch out here. I'll just kind of go slow, but yeah, you can see that's what's going to happen if we use side cutters, because we're definitely going to damage our material, and we're not going to be able to get that cut. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's going to damage. So using regular side cutters is not going to work, but when we use the Hozo blade, that is definitely going to be a money maker in that regard. So yeah, definitely. Side cutters? No. Hozo blade, Neoblade? Yes. Okay. Not bad, not bad. So this is turning out pretty good. We got some good test material on here. And the other thing that I want to end up doing, excuse me just a second, is we're going to try a little bit of a different item. This is some high impact plastic. So again, we're probably going to have a hard time with some side cutters. So what this is from an old webcam housing that I thought I would use, but I thought, you know what, let's see what this does. So we'll cut one side with side cutters. And again, you can see how that just smashes the material and it damages. We got that line right there. And if we wanted to cut a notch out for this, and see how it just kind of forces and deforms the plastic. So yeah, this is just, let's see how we have that white there and how it just really messes that up. If we can focus a little bit. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing. So let's put this to the test. Go on this side and let's see if we can get a little bit of a live testing. And oh, that is nice. And with that 40,000 kilohertz, it basically melts the plastic. Yeah, let's check that out. So we can definitely and you would need to clean that up. But yeah, we're not going to get that deformation. We'd have to clean up the edges on this because that 40,000 kilohertz basically vibrates so fast that it cuts and melts the plastic at the same time. So yeah, but definitely a lot cleaner. We could end up and kind of clean up the edges on this, which isn't too bad. So some high impact molded plastic, what we can end up seeing is that the Neoblade definitely works pretty well in that regard. Wow, I'm pretty impressed. There's no way that a razor blade would cut this stuff, so we're not even going to try. I tried previously on another piece of plastic that was a little bit thinner than this, and the blade just snapped off. And of course, if we're going to be using industrial scissors, there's no way that's going to cut. And as we saw with side cutters, that's just not an option if you want to cut something out with this. But yeah, not the cleanest cut in the world, but the fact that we can cut it without, you know, causing a stress fracture on here, that is nice. Okay, knowing what we can and cannot do with our Hozo. So yeah, pretty nice. It seems like the Hozo seems to be a useful tool. And we've got that there. And we have, again, we have a spare battery. So if we hook this up with a USB-C charger, we could go through and put that in there. And then if we wanted to, I think we can put this in there. Or does this go? Oh, okay. I just found something out. Let me show you. See how there's that little hole right there? And then there's another one there. Those are metal contacts. And those metal contacts marry up with these two metal contacts to recharge the battery on this thing. So if I put this in here like this, it's got room for the blade and it will be able to charge. And of course that doesn't, I don't know, you could store that how you want, but I mean this is for the front, but nice. Okay, and with the different types of blades, will this, I don't know, how many blades do we get in here? So it gives a little showing of the blade. We can see that it's 4 millimeters by 25 at a 30-degree angle. Well, let's see if it's what it looks like. Ooh, interesting. Ah, okay. So there's our little sharps container. And then, oh, it's got the little branded Hozo on there. And there are the blades. So you've got a number of blades in there. And then that would be our sharps container for our used blades. Interesting. So we got that. And I like how it has a graphical representation of the blade on here. Let's see if it continues on. Oh, there's 10 of them in here. Oh, there's 20 of these blades. There's 10 of these. There's 10 of those, 10 of those, 10 of those. Ooh, so I got 20, and then the rest of them are 10. Excuse me. Okay, got a little sticker thing going on. Different packaging with this. I should probably standardize it. That would make things easier. And then we have the same type of thing here. Oh, and I guess they put the sticker on here so you can put the sticker on yourself, apparently on this one. Okay, so we got a little bit of a, and then they got a little catch there. Ooh, you see that? Now we can kind of, I see what they're doing. So this one is 2. Okay, I got it. I like it where it's, I like the first one where it's already on there and you don't have to add the sticker. Okay. Oh, be careful that blade. Keep that in there. So let's see what this one looks like. And the same type of thing. Oh, okay. So we have this, the number 1 comes already attached, or it's engraved or whatever, For the rest of these, that's what the sticker thing is for. So we would need to add the sticker to each one of these. So we'll just go ahead. And on this one, it's got a little 3D printed piece on there. I don't know if I got an early model, but I think if they standardize that, that would make things a lot easier. So this is 3. This is the boring part of the video, apparently. And again, we could just put that on there. Oh, that's 5. Damn it. Dang it. Don't you love live videos? Seriously, Wilson? Okay, we'll put that there. We need 3. 3. Yes, the one that says 3 goes on 3. Okay, let's try this again. Now we get that. So anyway, this seems to be a decent little thing that we got going on here. And they gave us some more stickers. And this one is going to be 4. So I'll make sure we use 4 so I don't screw it up again. I need to make like a little case or a stand that I could put this on my pegboard. I think that would work out. And now we'll get to 5. We won't take that tape off. So it's good that you're able to pull these off for people like me that don't know their numbers. And then the last one, 6. I'll make sure we got the right one. 6. And boom. There we go. So there it is, folks. What we end up having is our Hozo Neoblade with a rechargeable battery, USB-C cord, and then we also get some additional ones. I'm assuming that with the basic Hozo model, you're getting the Hozo and you're going to get the basic blade set along with the USB-C and, of course, the cover that we have there. So that would be the basic set. This is the creator set, or the next one up. So you're going to get the recharger, you're going to get the additional blades, and then I guess they have another one as well, and we'll take a look at that. I like the fact that you get 2 batteries, which is nice, and that you have the tool to change the ends, and that's magnetic. So we can just do that, and we have a push function to activate it, or we could pull that back and we're good to go. So if we're not going to be using this, again, we'll just rotate this so it is in lock position. If we wanted to remove it, you can see that there. If I can get this in there. Seriously? Oh, I didn't push it in. I didn't push it in far enough. So it's in the lock position, and then you have on. So, okay. I think we are good to go on that. I think we're good to go. Alrighty, there it is. The Hozo Neoblade, which seems to work out pretty well. So let's go ahead and we'll get back to the desk, and we'll take a look and give our final thoughts on the Neoblade. The Neoblade. Yes, what an interesting little thing. Okay, before we get into this right here, some of the things I like about it. I like it that it's handheld. The smoothness of the Neoblade itself. What I would end up saying, don't you love live videos? Is that while this is ergonomic, I think this is too smooth. I mean, it's nice for the fit and function of this thing, but it's too smooth. And you're going to be grasping it like this, kind of like a pencil or a pen, which is nice. But honestly, I really wish there was some rubberized or some rubber insets on this, that if you hold it like this or even like this, you'd have some rubber on here that would give you some grip. And I think especially on the sides, as you kind of hold it between your finger and your thumb, if you're doing that, that would give you a little bit more traction. And I think that would be nice because you're going to use it in this position. So I would want to have like some little rubber grips on here personally. And that way you've got some gripping action, that it won't slide, because this is pretty smooth. It's like anodized aluminum or whatever, and it's real slippery. So really the only thing that you have is this ribbed front section here to grab, and then the rest of this is just it's too smooth. So is that a deal killer? No, because I can probably just go to Daiso or some store and find a little, I don't know, rubberized adhesive thing that I could put on there to give it that traction and that grip. But I think that's something that Hozo should. I know they wanted for a nice sleek finish, but yeah, you need some grip on here to get a grip. Get a grip. So yeah, let's go over some of the comments here. Let's see, we got Swedish Forge, we got George. And George says, hot dog, has been looking forward to this. We've got Terry that is on board. We got John Clope. This looks interesting. Yes, it is. And then we have Zombie Hunter. Yeah, so we got a number of people that are watching this, and I would appreciate if you would take the time to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That would be good. Now, the biggest question, would I use this? Would I use the Hozo Neoblade? I think I would. There are some times when I wish I would have something like this. I know there's going to be a project. There's a project that I want to do. Uncle Jesse from YouTube, he built a sanding station. In other words, a big clear plastic box, and then he was able to cut holes and put ports and where he could put his hands through with gloves and things like that. Needing to cut through that material of like a 70-liter tote, you're not able to do that. So not with scissors. You could do it with a soldering iron. I tried that a little bit. It is just so nasty and the smell is bad. So I think the Neoblade would actually work. We got Kenny B. Models. Did you use it? Yes. Yes, we did. We just finished that, so you're going to have to back up afterwards and check that out. But now the question comes down to this, is it worth it? It could be. If you do a lot of arts and crafts stuff and cutting stuff, I think this could be a good tool to have. But I think where this comes down to is, what is the price of this? And that's where we're going to get to the interesting part here. So as we see right here, this is which kind of made me gulp. So if we take a look at it there, for the Neoblade, for the basic model, so you're just going to get the Neoblade, and what you see there, that's $150. That's a little steep for a vibrating razor blade, which it works well. I do have to say that it works well if you're going to be cutting in PLA, if you're going to be cutting cardboard. You can also cut leather and wood. We did some of that. that would work. Whether that is worth it to you, I don't know. Let's continue on because they have another version. We have this one here, which is the creator combo. That is the one that they sent me. Again, this is something that Hozo sent me. Said review it however you want. They didn't say, hey, you have to do a good review. I told them I do honest reviews, and that's what it is. But this one, that's almost $200 right there for what we looked at. And if we take a look at our little thing there, yeah, we got a bunch of stuff there. You know, the Neoblade, and it does work. That one's like $200. Holy crow, $200. That, I don't know. That's costly. It depends on how often you would use this. I think that's what it comes down to. For me, it'd be nice to have for a number of projects, but not something that I would use every day. But then again, I'm not using it every day. There could be people out there that would use something like this every day for crafting, selling, you know, whatever it is that you're doing. This might come in handy. For me, I don't know. But when you see that this is the creator combo is almost $200, and wait, there's more. Then we have the Neoblade premium combo, which gives you, holy crow, $304. That's a little bit rich for my blood. But it might not be for you. You might be fine with that. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's go over some comments. George says, I would definitely have to put something on it to make sure it would not slip because I can't feel my hands and don't trust my grip. Yeah, you would definitely, I would definitely put some grip tape on here or some rubber that I could glue on here or some adhesive, something or other to get the grip because it is really smooth. And while I appreciate the smooth aesthetic of it, I think people would like it more if it had a rubberized grip on here or some rubberized grip strips on here. So that way you get that feel, that grip, and it would definitely, it would give you more confidence. But yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be shelling out for that. Zombie Hunter says 49 to 79. Oh no, it's 149 to 179 and 99 for the upgrade. Yes, but over that, oh, that's what you would pay. Yeah, I kind of get that. Again, it depends on how often you would use this and whether you think you're getting the value for that money. There's some people that I knew back in the world in the States, money was no object. They didn't care. And even if they had something that they only used maybe once or twice a year, they would pay that amount of money and they would be fine with it. Where somebody like me, I would be like, I can't really justify that. The question is, what is the battery life? The battery life, if I'm not mistaken, is, let me see if I can pull this up. And we'll take a look at the website. So there's the website, Hozo, and for the Neoblade, and they've got other products as well. But we'll just put this in the description box or in the comments section if you want to take a look at that. Now, I will say, let me go ahead and do this right here. Camera overlay, and we're going to do this one here. Boom. I will say I'm not an affiliate, okay? So I'm doing this review, and if you go to the site with the link that I just gave, I'm not going to get anything out of it, okay? I figured I'd do the review, and if you like it, you're going to go buy it, and most people don't buy through affiliate links anyway, and I don't know, I'd rather just do the review and not be influenced by having an affiliate link. So, I don't know, maybe it keeps me honest. But yeah, $150 for a basic, and then the creator combo is almost $200, and then the premier combo, which gives you some extra stuff, $304, $305, I don't know. That's just, that's a bit rough. But we're looking at, so again, yeah, it vibrates. It does all that cool stuff, which is nice. You'd use the wired, use it with the battery, which I appreciate that. But battery life, that's what we're going to be looking at. It does cut. We definitely know that. Has some fans. Airflow aluminum chassis. That's where it needs those rubber strips on there. That would be my thing. And precision mode, continuous mode, 30-minute turbo charging. Each pack delivers 30 minutes of cutting performance. So each battery will last about 30 minutes. So yeah, there it is. The only other thing that I don't like about this, for that amount of money that you're spending on this, is that they don't give you a charger. So they say that, you know, you have to have a PD charger, and we saw that. You can unlock 10%. That has nothing to do with me. That's just the site. You could buy a case, replacement batteries, other stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. The basic, included in the box, Neoblade, 6 blades. Okay, so that would be the basic one. If you're doing the creator combo, you're going to get more bells and whistles. You're going to get the blades and the extra battery and stuff like that. So charging, this is the thing that bothers me, is when we look at the charging, Turbo Dock PD USB-C 12 volt 2.5 amps, fast charging 30 minutes, wired charging 60 minutes. So, but they don't include a charger with this. For this amount of money, I would expect to supply the charger, and especially when it needs a very specific charger of 12 volts and 2.5 amps, the money that you're spending, they should send you a charger with it, in my opinion. So I think, personally, for me, that would be something I would change. It's a 1300 milliamp battery. You get 2 of those, at least with the one that I got. And yeah, I don't know. Interesting. I wonder if we'll take a look at, oh, the accessories. That's what we want to look at. How much are, they've got some other items in here. Compatibility, the Neoblade. Standard blades, so you're paying $1 a blade. That's a little rough in my opinion. So yeah, you're basically, and for these, yeah, $20, so it's $2 blade for these other ones here. That's a little bit rich. That's a little bit rich. So $50 for a cutting mat, that seems a little rich for my blood. Anti-slip grip tape. What did we just talk about? Yes, you can wrap your, for basically $10. For the amount of money that you're paying for this thing, that should already be included. Yeah, a little disappointed in that. I could probably find some grip tape that is less than $9.90 plus shipping or whatever that comes out to be. Hozo, let's see what other products that they have. They got a reciprocating detail sander. So they got that. They got the Neoblade. They got the Neoblock for makers who obsess over finish sanding. And that's kind of interesting because they also sent me the Neoblock. So we'll be doing a review on that, which comes in this cool little case. If we can see there, we get, basically it's a sanding block with 800, 600, 400, 240, 180, and 120 in regards to sanding paper, sanding belts for this thing. But that thing is $85.50. That's a little bit too rich for my blood. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, that's a little bit too rich for my blood. Okay, so we took a look at this. We cut a number of items, as we can see there. The Neoblade is definitely an ultrasonic cutter. It does cut things really well. I will say that. And of course, it depends on what you're cutting. You're going to need a specific blade. We only did the standard blade, and then we did the blade with kind of like the long saber, but they have some other ones as well. We saw definitely that you need to have a specific blade for different things that you're cutting, at least in that one instance that we looked at. Overall, would I buy this for $150 for the basic? Personally, for me, I wouldn't. For the creator combo, and that is basically $200 for the creator combo, which gives me a bunch of blades and then the spare battery and the charging and all that without a charger, I should mention, is, you know, $196.20, and you can get 10% off. For me personally, I don't think I'd buy this. Just to be honest with you, it's nice, but it's not $200 nice. It's nice, but for me, and I'm cheap. I'll buy once, cry once, but I don't think personally I would use this enough to justify spending $150 to $200 or $300 for this. I just wouldn't use it that much. Now, if my job was cosplay, if it was constantly arts and crafts and RC models and whatever it is, and I definitely needed something like this, and I would use it on a more frequent basis, then yeah, I could see possibly paying for something like that. But as I sit right now, as just a hobbyist who prints out things and makes some YouTube videos, and you know, we print out some cool stuff. Maybe I have to make some modifications and some cuts for, you know, maybe some LED lighting on some cosplay items. Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe just a soldering iron is good. The soldering iron is going to melt the plastic and whatever it is that I'm going to deal with, like PVA or PLA. Maybe that's enough, but I'm going to get that smell from the soldering iron and the melting of the PLA. This doesn't do that. I don't know, is that worth it to you? To not have to have soldering iron and melted plastic smell hovering and coming out from the thing that you're working on? If that's something that you need to have, then the Neoblade would definitely work for you. You might get that might be a value that you would pay that money for. So we're just being honest here. Let's get to some of the comments. George says, I'm looking at it as a gift for a friend who does cosplay and makes lots of props. Could be. It would be nice. Kenny B. Model says, having the right tool for the job makes life easier. I definitely want one, but it's an expense I would have to think about. Same here. To be totally honest with you, I'm not going to be a YouTuber that's, oh, this is great, and oh, everybody needs to have one of these. Neoblade, you got to have it. It's awesome. I might use this 2 or 3 times a year, maybe 4. I just, honestly, I don't think I would use it that much. And I think $200 even for the creator combo, I don't think I would spend that much money. But then again, that's me. It is what it is. Just looked, it's available through Amazon for $149. Yeah, you can find it on Amazon as well. Netventive says, I like the product, but it feels like it's price baiting. Yeah, but if you look up, let me pull up Ultrasonic cutter. And you'll notice that a lot of the prices are kind of around that same price point. Unless you get on like AliExpress, there's some that are less expensive. Let me see if we can find. Let's try Amazon. Let's just see what we get there. And we'll pull up Amazon and we'll see prices. Ultrasonic cutter knife. And we'll check on some prices. I told you I do a little bit different than most people. I'll actually compare prices and give you the real deal here. So let's take a look and we'll see what we got here. Dun, 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 dun. So you can see ultrasonic cutter. There's one for 140. There's another one there that looks kind of interesting. The Hozo is 149. The Han Boost is about 160, 149. There's one for 109, but it's only got 6 reviews. Hozo's got 4.2 out of 5 stars, and they've got a lot of reviews. But you can definitely see, 150. There's another one there, $200. So yeah, just looking at this, I don't know. There's one there, 140. So you can see the prices. There's another one there for 189. So you can definitely see that ultrasonic cutters, there's one for 100. It's not, well, there's one for 73, 99, 169. But it's getting, there's one there for 289. Holy crow. It's kind of an expensive item. And a lot of these we see 2 reviews, there's 2 and it's 129, but it's only got 1 star. Yeah. I don't know. That's very, very interesting, is when we take a look at all those things. So the prices seem like it's a little bit high for the Hozo, but we definitely see where the reviews on it are a lot higher than a lot of these other ones. And it seems like a lot of Chinese companies are coming out with knockoffs or different versions of the same thing, but the reviews aren't really good. We're getting like 2 reviews, 3 reviews, 1 review, 5, one is $100, but it's only, the rating is 2.8 stars out of 5. So yeah, it's another one has 4.6, but only has 8 reviews. So when it comes to reviews, when we're looking on Amazon, Hozo definitely has more reviews. Like, what did that end up being? Hozo, 213 reviews on Amazon. So let's take a look at that. Let's just dip on over here and we'll see. So there it is. This is the basic version, the $150 one. And we can see that it has 213 reviews. 63%, which isn't bad. And then you got 4 stars, 18%. So usually for me, what I'll end up doing is I'll take a look, and if we end up with, let me change this out here. Where I want to do a camera overlay. New camera overlay. Bear with me. Okay, and we'll put that up there. So anyway, basically when I'm shopping on Amazon, I'll try to get the best rating for a product with a lot of ratings. And as long as it hits like 75% with a combination of 5 and 4-star ratings, then I feel pretty comfortable about that item. So when we look on the Hozo Neoblade, we can see 5-star it has 63%, 4-star it has 18. So that meets my basic, standard for buying stuff on Amazon if it has good reviews. If the combined 5 and 4-star reviews is 75 or more, 75% or more, then I'm pretty good with that. But there's some other, you can read these reviews as well, and I would highly advise checking and reading the reviews, because what you want to do is you want to make an informed decision. Like this one says, update, it broke. Power adjustments to cutting, dun, dun, dun. But it ended up breaking. I wonder how it broke. Cuts very well, careful on plastics, it melt if the blade angle is incorrect. Okay, so there is a little bit of a learning curve. Quick cleanup work, functions brilliantly. So yeah, it is definitely I think the base one would be good. At $150, if I was going to buy something, I do think that that area there needs to have that rubberized grip on there. Having to buy that for an additional $9.90, I don't think that's a thing. It shouldn't be a thing with the amount of money, but it is what it is. So there it is. What we ended up doing is taking a look at the Hozo Neoblade. It does cut. It does work. It did come with a mat. With the regular one, for the $149 one, does it come with a mat? What does it say? What's in the box? What's in the box? Just the Neoblade. So it doesn't come with a mat. So the mat would be extra. I don't know if the mat is... it's just a mat. I don't know if it's made of some secret squirrel material that absorbs 40,000 kilohertz vibrations that limits it being cut. I don't know. Maybe it does. I'm not sure, but I don't think I'd buy the mat. Everybody's got a mat there anyway. Naventive says, I like the product, but it feels like price baiting. For $149, I don't know. Looking at all the other prices, I think that's decent. It's still a little bit rich for me. I have time, and he's very particular with his tools, so I will have him check it out first. Yeah, definitely. How warm did the battery get? I didn't notice that the battery got warm at all. It does have a fan in here that goes at like, what was it, like 13,000 RPMs is the fan, so that keeps everything cool in here. So I didn't notice any warmth to the battery when I was using it. So that doesn't seem to be a deal killer. And again, you've got the little fan holes that you've got there. So I think that works out well. But yeah. Let's just kind of go over the last little things on the Amazon page. How about that? So let's make me a little bit smaller there. So this is from the Amazon page. You can definitely cut some things there. There is a learning curve in regards to the angle of which you're cutting something. That does come into play. 40,000 built-in cooling system, wireless, twist and snap swap battery, 13,000 RPM or 1300 milliamp battery, the 13,000 RPM fans on there. You can cut a number of different items. Oh, we didn't cut resin. I have a resin base. You know what? Let's do that. Let's go back and we'll go to the paint station because we didn't cut the resin, the little resin base that I ended up. Okay. Oh, you know what I just noticed? We have that little insert there to where that plugs on there. Okay. Alrighty, let's back this up and we'll take a look. Oh, it's got the magnet. Okay, need to be careful with that. So we'll go back to our Neoblade. And I forgot about the resin. So this base here is a resin printed, 3D printed base. Now this is water washable resin, which is real brittle, okay? So brittle that you probably don't want to cut into this. And if this can cut into this, that would be good. We already know it'll cut away supports and things like that. But I'm just kind of interested in to see. Let's go ahead and we'll bring in this. And we'll see if I can. And we're on and we're ready to go. So let's see how this cuts. Wow. Look at that. It actually actually cuts in this water washable resin, which is really, really brittle, and we would be able to cut into that. Wow. Look at that. You all see that? Let's do another one here. Make sure I don't want to cut myself. This is pretty impressive, because you would not be able to get cuts like that on water washable resin with cutters, or definitely you wouldn't be able to do that with like a razor blade, because you're just going to have to end up see what I'm saying? You're just not going to be able to get that clean of a cut with a razor blade. And then, of course, if we use side cutters, here's what's going to happen. See? That's how brittle that is. So the fact that this can cut water washable UV cured resin is definitely impressive. Let's see if we can just get a better... cracking the whole thing. That is pretty impressive. So yeah, interesting. Okay, so there that is. So that was the other test that I wanted to end up doing. But we can see we've definitely got some cuts on there with the resin base, with the Hozo Neoblade, and it works out pretty good. That is impressive. But now it comes down, would I use that a lot like that? I don't know. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Alrighty, back to the desk, and we will close this out. So, what we ended up doing, we did the specs and looked at the Hozo Neoblade and all the things that it says it can do. It does cut. It does specially PLA and some other materials. It works really well, of course, with like the wood that we used in that engraved wood thing that we did. That worked out really well. Scissors and razor blades would just split that item, so that wouldn't be good. But the Neoblade worked well. So again, it comes down to who is it for? Would you use it enough to justify the price? I don't know. You would have to answer that question. So anyway, dun 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 dun. Let's see. My ears hurt. Your ears hurt? Why do your ears hurt? You get rid of some stubborn supports. Yeah, you could definitely do that. And go deaf at the same time? I don't know. You can get rid of that, anything. There's a little bit of a sound that comes with the Neoblade. It's just kind of like a whine. I don't know, is the sound of that coming through the microphone? Is it just like overly loud? For me, it doesn't. It's just kind of like a little bit of a mechanical whine. When you're cutting things, it's not a big deal. So I don't know if that's amplified through the microphone or it just hits a certain frequency. Let me know in the comments. That'll be interesting. Of course, I'll go back to the video and we'll see how that goes. But it's not something that if I used that it would bother my ears, that I would be like, oh, I hate that noise. You know, it wouldn't sway me to not cut things with it. It's that. Oh yes, it was noticeable. Yeah, the mic was picking up. That must be it. There must be just a certain frequency that comes out louder over the wireless microphone than not, because it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal for me. So let me let's just go ahead and turn this back on, and that's at arm's length, and that's the fan. So if you can hear that, that's that 13,000 RPM little fan that they have in there to cool this down. So do I want to cut something? I want to cut something. I want to cut more stuff. Let's see if that. Yeah, the noise for me, it's just like a little fan. It's not even as loud as a computer fan for me. But if we ended up cutting some stuff, yeah, this is one piece. Yeah, the sound doesn't increase. So that's the fan sound that is constant. And then we're going to cut through some PLA there. What you can see is some real clean cuts on there. So yeah, plunge cuts on that. As you can see right there. But yeah, I don't notice, and when I turn this off, that's just the fans that are continuing to run to cool down the unit. And it's not, the battery's not getting hot, the housing's not getting hot. There's a tiny bit of warmth, and now we just turned it off. So yeah, it's not something that I would be like, oh, it hurts my ears, I'm not going to use this. Obviously, there must be something that the mic is picking up that is over amplifying that sound, which is not the case in real life. So it's a tiny bit warm, but you can use it. The battery lasts for 30 minutes. You should be good to go, and or 90 minutes or whatever it was. So yeah, it works. It does the job. Whether you want to pay for that much for this item, I guess it depends on what value you get out of it. Some people have different levels of value. It might be, well, if I only use it once or twice a year, but I need it and I want it to work really well, that might justify the price. So I could think of a couple of things where this would be good. And if I do more cosplay stuff where I'm cutting into PLA or some other items to run wires or something like that, the more I would do that, the more that would justify the price for me. So for other people, it might end up that they use it once or twice a year for a project and they're happy with it. They got the value that they wanted, then it's a good trade-off. So again, I can't say either way to say, no, buy this, don't buy this, or, oh, you must buy this because it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. See what I'm saying? Yeah, you're going to get an honest review. Okay, so the only other thing is the fact that you have proprietary blades on this that you would have to go back. Excuse me. And as we saw, those blades for the standard blade was $1 per blade, and the other ones were $2 per blade. So it seems like they're making some money off the blades, which, there's nothing wrong with making money. But I just want you to be aware of that beforehand. So how long are the blades going to work? I don't know. How long are they going to last? You get 20 blades on the standard one. You get 10 blades on all the other ones, 2 through 6. I don't know how long they'll last, and only time will tell. The other thing that I cannot tell you is how long this will work, because I just got this item. So as far as longevity is concerned, I'm not sure. The jury is still out on that, so we would have to check back at a later date and see how that goes. Let's see. George says, it's interesting for me. I don't have much use, but for my friend, he could have a lot of use out of it. Yeah, I mean, if there's somebody that is deep into cosplay or hobbies, or, this would be something that they would use on a more frequent basis. 150 bucks, I could give that as a gift to somebody. Somebody who that does that a lot and would appreciate it. Yeah, I could totally see that. The fact that I got it for free, I'll appreciate it, but in all honesty, would I spend 150? I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm kind of cheap, so, and using it 2, 3, 4 times a year, would that justify 150? I'm not sure. I think that's all I can say. So I definitely wouldn't get the $200 one or the $300 one. I would rather use that money for PLA or throw that money towards, buying another printer or something like that. Yeah, there it is. Honest review. An honest review. We'll probably, I got to do a couple more videos doing that, and we'll also be doing the Neoblade block that we saw, which is a sanding block. I guess we can take a look at this. Ned Bennett says, thanks for the review. Swedish George says, bedtime, 2 a.m. Holy crow. Yeah, you need to get some sleep. But the sanding block thing, we'll just kind of, ooh, and they say hobby sanding block. Hobby sanding block. I was expecting something much bigger. And there's there's another one. It's got a little rubber thing on there. And I guess, well, that doesn't go there. Then we got another one. And so it's got, basically it's got like a sanding belt on there, and yeah. Then you can adjust it. So once it's on there, and lock it into place. I don't know. $85 for a sanding block? That seems a little rich for my blood. But, oh, I see what we got. So it has a sanding block, and then you can, take the piece out, and then I could use the different piece like so. And then you could do the same thing by putting in the sanding block, and so you end up, of course you'd have to, okay, so there you go like that. So you get your little sanding block with your edges and whatever to get into tight spaces. It's a little rich. A little bit rich for my blood. So, but we'll save this for another video. But yeah, there it is. We did the review. Zombie says, I think if the price was right, it would be a good idea. I mean, it definitely works. It definitely works. I am impressed with how well it cuts. Just that price point seems a little steep, but I think as time goes on, what we'll see is more companies coming out, and those prices will drop, just like with anything else in the world. So they'll probably drop their prices over time. You were expecting something bigger. That's what she said. Yes, I know. George says he's not going to comment on that. But what we can comment on before this goes downhill And Venom says, can't wait to see the next review. Yeah, we're going to be doing a project. Uncle Jesse did that. Let me see if I can bring that up. Jesse sanding box. And I think this was on printables that he ended up, yeah, this is it. Let me guys show you that. So we have Uncle Jesse, and what he ended up doing is taking a large tote, plastic tote, and cutting, and he made some adapters so that he would be able to have like a sanding station, as you see there, and be able to hook up, of course, you know, a shop vac and things like that. That's something that I want to end up doing. And the Neoblade would come in, that would be a great tool to be able to cut out those things. I tried on something else of similar material with a very smaller tote, but the same thickness of plastic, and trying to cut it, drilled a hole and then tried to snip. It just cracked and it ruined the item. So yeah, with the Hozo, the Neoblade, that would definitely be able to cut that. And I think he even mentioned that he used an ultrasonic cutter to cut that out. Some people did mention that they have used soldering irons, but again, you're going to melt the plastic, you're going to get the smell, the VOCs. And I guess the one good thing with the Neoblade is that it's not melting, it's cutting. There is a little bit of melting with plastic, but not to the extreme that you would get with a soldering iron. So how much is that worth to you? That seems like that's worth it. So, but that's definitely one of the projects I'm going to end up doing, is that sanding box adapter. So that way, because I live in an apartment, I can sand things in the enclosure, cut out those holes for those adapters for the gloves and the shop vac and so on and so forth. And the Neoblade would be a great thing for that. Okay, if you appreciate an honest review, smash that like button. I would really appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. That would help me out, me and the channel. And with that said, if you want to contact me, we'll go back to the obligatory outro page, where here's my email address, officialtheverylife@gmail.com. I always answer my emails. A bunch of people bought me coffee. You can do that. Link in the description box. Best thing you can do right now is to smash that like button. Hit subscribe, ring that bell so that you can keep up with future videos, and hopefully I'll be able to do more reviews. I'm trying to send out emails, want to do some more reviews on some other products. I know this is a little bit different because we're doing it live. I thought about, you know, we'll just record it and, you know, and then post that video. But you know what? I like the live video because it keeps it real. I mean, it's real life, and that's what reviews should be, is real. So, okay. Everybody, thank you for watching. I appreciate that, and we will see you on the next video. Oh, yeah, the link for the Neoblade's in the description box, too, in case I didn't mention it. Okay, that's it. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.